What is up guys, Vic here and welcome back to another video on my channel. And in this one, I'm going to share with you my tips and my way of taking notes in medical school. And believe me, this has been a culmination of 5 to 6 years of note taking at university. I've tried so many ways of doing it. I thought I was doing it right, but this time I really think I got it right. So I wanted to share my tips and tricks on how to do that, and hopefully that helps you at uni and at school or whatever else you need it for. And without further ado, let's jump into it. Okay guys, so before we dive into my method of note taking, I just wanted to go through some background on what I was doing before that. So throughout my bachelor's degree, which was 3 years of medical science and then a year of honors, I was just using Word documents to take my notes. And I'll be honest, I just didn't know what else to do. So throughout my high school years, I wasn't allowed to take notes on laptops or tablets, let alone have them at school. So I wasn't exposed to any note-taking methods other than taking them all by hand. So I didn't know any apps either, so Word document was just the only thing I knew, the easiest one to use, and that's what I used for 4 years. And it was fine, but it could have been much better. But we will get to that. Anyway, so I was taking notes at two separate times, before the lecture itself and in the middle of the lecture. And before the lecture, I was actually just going through every slide and summarizing the content of every single slide, which was great because that was my way of going through the lecture at my pace and trying to understand the content on my own. For the most part, I did, but you know, every now and then there are some things that lecturers need to say verbally and they don't have it in the slide, or there's a diagram that just doesn't make sense. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And there's just so many of them. And that's where the notes in the middle of the lecture come from. Those ones I take by hand, and that's essentially any extra stuff that I didn't pick up beforehand. That's in the middle of the lecture. That's when I take them. And when I get home, I combine my typed up notes with the ones I took by hand. I do that on the weekend, if I have a chance as soon as I get home, or just before exams. So that means I go through the content alone, I revise it in the lecture. If you think about it, that's pretty much revision. And then I revise it again, combined for the exams or the assignments or whatever I need them for. So that was great. That method of note taking still works for me because that means I go through the information quite a few times and it's just going to be stuck in my head for a very long time after that. It might not work for you. I love it. It's not the only thing I use. I'll cover that in a different video, but just for note taking, I love them. However, the issue was me actually using Word document, and the problem with that was that there was just way too many documents in the end. There was no way for me to organize them apart from putting them in folders. But if I really wanted to look for specific parts, like specific details about specific topics, I'd have to go through every single note to find it. And if you have the time for that, great. If you don't have the time for that, that method will not work for you. Fortunately for me, medical science wasn't too demanding on time, and my time management skills were more than enough to cope with that. But now in medicine, there's just a whole bunch of new expectations, a higher bar to meet, and that method isn't going to work. So I decided to change all of that. And the first thing I did was, as I mentioned, I don't take notes anymore. At least not on paper. Now they're all digitalized, so we can get rid of this. Instead, I just use my handy tablet, the Samsung Tab Galaxy 7. Obviously, you don't need to use it if you don't have one. You can use computers. As you can see, I have them in the background. I just love taking notes by hand, and digitizing it is just a way of doing both at the same time. So I take notes by hand on my tablet, and then at the end of the week, I summarize them all. So I'm going to actually cover that with you guys by going through the apps, so I'm not going to get you to wait too much, so let's jump into that. Okay guys, so now we jumped onto my tablet's screen view, and like I said, only use one single app to take notes, and that's OneNote. So just open the application, and as you can see, I have a very specific way of organizing my notes. And this is actually why I love OneNote so much. With just the Word documents, you won't be able to do this. You have so many separate documents, and you can just put them in separate folders, I suppose. But OneNote is pretty much a notebook, many notebooks, or it's just amazing how much organization you can get out of it, and how many different media types you can put into it. So you can put recordings, videos, links, files, anything pretty much I was able to put into OneNote. So let's jump into how I divide my notes. So first of all, on the leftmost column, you can see that I have the notebook open called Human Biology. And that's just the name of the block I'm in. It's the first block of the first semester of the first year of medicine. It's just basic human biology. Anyway, after that I separate the notebooks into separate tabs, each one for the weeks and for the assessments. So each block is 8 weeks, therefore I have 8 weeks. I don't have the first week because it was orientation, so there's no point having a tab for that. And then, like I said, a tab for assessments, and then within that there's a page for each topic. And then within each week, the way I separate it is by day. So I have one page open, just put the name, the date and the day. So Monday, March 1st. Now I'm showing you the next week because I'm worried if I show you some content from this week or previous weeks, I might get in trouble for sharing that. But there are some things I will show you there for examples. So back to this week, back to week 6, I mean. Monday, I have 2 lectures, so I just put the title of the lecture. When the lecture is uploaded, I actually put the entire lecture slides into OneNote. So I have all the lecture slides on the notebook itself. I don't need to go looking for them. I don't need to open a separate document. It's all there. All I have to do is just jump between the different pages. So you can see I have 2 lectures. On Fridays, I also have PBLs, so I put the case in. And then we get to the notes section. So I still take 2 separate notes. One set is before the lecture and one set is in the middle of the lecture in case there are extra things or I miss some things. Then Tuesday, same structure, lectures. Workshops are pretty much just my practicals. So there's anatomy, there's histology. Notes again, same thing, notes for workshops. Wednesday, more lectures, tutorials, preparation, notes. Seminars, sometimes I have seminars, so I just put the slides there as well. And you can see I have every single week set up the same. Each of the big tabs is going to correspond to one subject or one day. So this is going to be for modules. And then at the end of it is going to be the weekly summary where I have all the learning outcomes. And then I divide the learning outcomes to the relevant topics and answer each one as I would in the exam. So that's how I set up the days. And now if you want to take a look, this is what my notes look like. These are the unpolished notes, the ones I take before or during the lecture. Let's see what this was about. It was preparation notes, so it was before the lecture itself, and it was about the nervous system. So as you can see, I just handwrite them on my tablet. I absolutely love that feature, and I don't know how I was living without it up until now. One more thing I didn't show you in week 6 was because I didn't set it up yet, are reading materials. So certain links and articles that they post, we have to read them. So I put the readings there and I have summaries for them as well. As you can see, I haven't actually gotten to the reading of these 3 pages here, but I will eventually, I promise. But anyway, that's the gist of it. So to summarize it, I have the major notebook, the separate tabs for separate weeks, and then in each week I separate it per day, and then within the day I separate it for notes, for lectures, for practicals, for case studies, and then at the end of it I have my weekly summaries. So when I jump between weeks, after I've already covered them, all I look at is my weekly summary, because everything else should be covered here. I hope this makes sense, and we can now jump out of the tablet. Well, there you have it, guys. Those were my tips and my advice on how to take notes, and that's how I'm getting through medical school. So if it works for me, I hope it works for you. It might not, but at least you know what the options are. But essentially, EndNote is the way to go. There are a lot of other apps out there, but this one, that's my favorite. And I'll probably cover some other apps later on, but had to mention this one first. Anyway, I hope you find this video helpful. I hope it answered any questions you may have had. If you like it, press the like button, leave a comment below, and press that subscribe button too to just be updated with all the videos I put up. And like always, all the best, and hopefully I see you guys in the next video.